Hey everybody, it's me, Laura, and today we're going to be doing Natasha's Butterflies and Moths. Woohoo! So this is my end-all, beat-all of the Natasha series. I love this, and I really hope you guys will enjoy it and get a lot out of it. So right away, we're going to start with our scrap clay. I had this just sitting around. I thought we need to make some butterflies out of it. And I went ahead and I twisted it up. And then right here, I'm pinching this into a point. So think kind of a little bit like a heart, but not quite, because we're going to go ahead and pinch this one side, and we're going to create a teardrop form. Now we're going to take the other piece of scrap clay, and again, I'm twisting it yet again, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and create this into like a teardrop formed type cane. Okay, now once you have both of these, canes, if you will, even though they're just scrap clay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to place one right on top of the other. Okay, so now as you can tell here, I'm placing one on top of the other, but one slightly off just a little bit. And this is because each one of those canes represents a part of the wing. So I'm cutting one part and then I'm cutting another, and I decided to take the end off on that one side. And then all you're going to do is match it up like a normal Natasha, and there you have your wings. Easy peasy, no problem. I'm going to go ahead and take some black clay and I'll make that the body of my Natasha, or the body of my butterfly for my Natasha butterfly. And I'm just going to place that right in the center. And I like to push down a little bit. And then sometimes I'll even come in here and I'll bring this up because I really need to put this on another tile. So placing this back up on a baking tile instead of just my regular work surface. Placing that body again once more down right in the middle. The nice thing about having that body in there is it connects it up and it gives the eye a little bit of a break between all that busyness. So, but right here, that's all you're going to do. You can then bring in your knitting needle and we'll go ahead and poke a couple of little holes right in the body, and then also bring in some wire. And this is where I use like about a 26 gauge wire, and then bake this right on the tile. Okay, so let's go ahead and start creating some canes, or I should say my butterflies, from some cane ends. And right here I've got a couple that I just started. I'm going to go ahead and twist them up, and then when I twist this up, once I get it into a nice fine twist, we're going to turn it horizontally so that the lines will be running horizontal, and you're going to form that into a teardrop type log or a teardrop type cane. So from here, really what I'm doing is I'm pulling that particular cane with the lines running horizontal. I'm pulling it more and more out because I want to get quite a bit out of it if I can. Also, when you do that though, you will also extend whatever pattern that you have on the inside, it will extend out more. So if you have a particular look going on inside that cane, I know it's a Natasha, but when you do that, when you extend out or you pull on that cane to lengthen it out, that particular feature will show up a little bit more frequently than if it was just more squat and compacted. Okay, so now look at that end, okay? You see the stripes, they're running horizontal. That's what you want. Anytime you do this kind of a thing, that's what you're looking for. The second time around when I did this, I didn't have that particular feature, and I wanted to show this to you as to what it's really supposed to look like. So when you twist it, you're going to get the lines running one direction, but you're going to change it up and you're going to go the other direction, so that eventually when you go to cut, the lines will look like this. They'll be horizontal on that teardrop. Okay, another little thing I wanted to bring up here is the wings. So this one I wanted to extend out even more. So I'm making a really extreme teardrop form when it comes to that cane, and look at the difference. So I decided when I went ahead and did this, I wanted to give you a couple of ideas of what the butterfly wing could look like. This one is actually, when you extend out the wing like this, where you've got a really extreme teardrop, it almost goes into more of a dragonfly kind of look. So you can do that more so. And look, as I cut down here, you get some really interesting patterns from the twisting I have done in these particular butterfly wings. Okay, now with our second set of cane ends, I've decided to go ahead and I'm going to twist these up, but I'm not going to make it where the twist will go horizontal. So it'll just be a plain, plain twisted once, and then I'm punching it down into that teardrop form. I'll do it with both of those, and then we'll get really, in a way, we get a different look. And that look really retains the original scrap clay cane end that was going on in the first place. So it's not going to change its look a ton. It's going to retain pretty much what it had. Okay, so now we're going to delve right into our kaleidoscopes, and I did exactly what I did on the last segment, where I only twisted it the one direction and it was going to be running vertically, and then I started to cut my wings. So a lot of this, the original cane, which was kind of like a floral type of cane in a kaleidoscope, the flower part, the original kaleidoscope, actually came through pretty well. It was a little bit warped here, but not by much. So if I really wanted to keep some of that original kaleidoscope look, then do this sort of a thing. If you don't want to do that, then this is where I would say, okay, you need to go back, and it's, you twist, you're twisting it vertically, and then you roll it out kind of flat, where you're going to pull that vertical line and it's going to go horizontal, and then you cut. Okay, so you're going to be noticing here where I'm twisting this up, and then once I have that twisted up, I'm going to place this on my smaller tile, and I'm going to pinch that into a nice teardrop form. I really do like using these smaller tiles for helping me create my butterfly, my Natasha's butterfly. Now, I did it again here where I went ahead and I created that vertical kind of line going on. I did not twist it so that it was horizontal, but I'm going to show that in this next little bit. So if you really like to keep that kaleidoscope kind of look in your butterfly, do it this way. Okay, so I have both of my kaleidoscopes and I went ahead and cut one and then the other, and look at that. Part of that kaleidoscope, or even that floral-like feature in the other kaleidoscope, it showed up and I really liked how that looked. But let's go ahead and move on and try the other way. Okay, so now I took another couple of kaleidoscopes and this time I'm going to twist it so that it'll be going one direction, and then I'm going to reverse course and I'm going to twist it so that the lines will be running horizontal. It's not going to be just a vertical twist. It's going to be a vertical then to a horizontal. And this will give me a little bit of a different look when it comes to doing these kaleidoscope-like butterflies. In fact, if you go back, I want to say to Natasha's kaleidoscope borders, I want to say it was part 7 of my Natasha series. This particular feature that I discovered there will show up yet again in the butterfly. So when you're going through and you're going to start cutting these, you're going to see, just like the border did, it's going to cut and you'll get one image and then another image, and it's like it's a transgression or a transformation to the center of that kaleidoscope that it originally was, where you get more of the pattern and then it comes back out of that again. So you're going to find that same kind of pattern or that formation that you got when you created that Natasha's border with the kaleidoscope on part 7. It happens again here with my butterfly. Now you notice here I'm using a segmented petal cane, and I wanted to add this in for a little variation. I didn't want to do strictly just kaleidoscopes. It's nice, you know, I'm kind of giving you the idea of what that does, but I really love the look of the segmented petal cane, and we're going to get a little bit more of this, trust me. But I really love how it looks. Anytime I do a Natasha with the segmented cane, it's just happy. I get a lot of line, I get a lot of different kinds of pattern, and a lot of it is just from the way that line goes. You know, the way it twists up in a Natasha, it looks fantastic. Besides, I really wanted to show you guys the difference between, you know, a kaleidoscope here against another kind of cane. And mind you, I am going to be showing some miscellaneous canes that I just kind of got laying around. I'll show you how they look when it comes to the butterfly, but I wanted to show that against the kaleidoscope here because my kaleidoscopes get really, really detailed, and a lot of times they generally do. When they get so detailed though, when you go to turn these into Natashas, it may or may not always work. If it's a less detailed kaleidoscope cane, yeah, it's going to work fantastic. Woo, it's going to look great. Yay, woo. But in this case, my kaleidoscope was pretty detailed. And because it was, the pattern is going to be a little bit more, what can I say? It almost starts to go to mud, doesn't it? I mean, you get so much detail, and when you start working that clay, how many different ways, there is a point where you say, okay, enough. And so at this point, it's starting to get to that point of where that top, you know, the top part of that wing is starting to go to mud. Yes, you get a little bit of pattern, but it's not really distinctive. It's not really just grabbing you. Yeah, at this point, yeah, you might want to go ahead and say, okay, a less detailed kaleidoscope would work well. Okay, so here I've got some of my segmented petal canes, and we're going to turn these into my Natasha Butterflies. And this is my favorite way of doing Natasha Butterflies, is just by using segmented canes. And a lot of it is because of the line. You'll see, or you know, I showed you guys, like back in the flowers segment, where I had segmented cane and it looked fantastic. I just loved it. I was like, yes. Well, here it's the same thing. I love the segmented cane. It gives a lot of really great line and some great dynamic. So I suggest using the segmented canes for sure when you're creating those Natasha butterflies. Okay, so now for the cutting, we have to do this, and look at that. Oh, I just love the colors and the lines here. And it's not too busy. You know, like I said, when it comes to that kaleidoscope, gets a little bit busy and it looks like it's going to turn to mud. Here, it's a lot more dynamic. It's not as busy, but I mean, it's still busy, trust me. But you have a lot more pattern that just really pops out and grabs you. Okay, so as you can tell here, I've got some really cute butterfly wings coming in with all the segmented petal cane. And you know, I can't quite get over, I love these things. I think this is the one I'd always do all the time if I could. But anyway, right here, I'm just bringing in a couple more bodies. I'm placing that right over these. I'm going to put in a little bit of wire and then maybe dot a couple of holes in it so I could put some rhinestones in, and then finishing them up with a little bit of curling of the antenna wires. Okay, so right here I'm using, this was from the Chloe cane. I thought, you know, I had this left over and I just thought, let's just go ahead and use it up and see what happens. And then the other one is just leftover cane ends. And, you know, at this point, when I just start making these butterflies, I can't help it. It's like, okay, what cane have I not used? What cane could I see that, what might be different if I put this and this together? I would say the only thing when it comes to these butterflies is make sure you have high contrast. So, but from one section of the butterfly wing to the other section, because this way it gives it a little bit more of a dynamic and it's a little bit more interesting to look at. Otherwise, the only other thing I can really think of is, again, and I've already mentioned this, use simpler canes to create these butterfly wings. If you really like the detail, like, I mean, these are really detailed right here. And I had a lot of these little canes mashed up together. If you love the detail like that, keep going, do it. But for me, I thought it was a little bit too busy. So go with those simpler canes. Okay, so right here I'm taking from a bullseye that turns into a spiral cane. I'm going to take this and create a Natasha out of that. Now when I do this, my very first video was on the double spiral kind of cane, which I did a while back now. I need to do more on that one, just really kind of maybe reiterate on that. Anyway, right here, you're going to roll it up and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to do the twisting thing with it. We're going to create a really fun, really neat butterfly from this. I found that I really liked it. It was something different. And because it was more simple, it was easier to get a really fun and neat looking pattern from. It reminded me a little bit of, I want to say, the segmented cane, because it was more based on line, because we're going to go ahead and, you know, roll it up in that spiral. You're going to have that line show up. And so it was very similar in this regard. But anyways, I'm just pinching the ends. I'm going to roll it up and we're going to create our butterfly. Okay, so the nice thing that I love about Natasha is when I go ahead and create either a Natasha image or a bead or whatever, I know that there's never going to be another one like it. So when I went ahead and did these butterflies, I thought, let's go ahead and turn it into pendants. You know, this is really kind of, it makes them unique, it makes them really fun. So I'm just taking one right here, I'm just showing you how I create that butterfly pendant using my Natasha butterfly. Okay, so this was another project I wanted to bring in my Natasha Butterflies with. And I have had this picture for a little while and it just needed to be completed. So I've got my Natasha flowers on here, I've got Natasha leaves, and I thought the last element that I was really missing was my butterflies and my moths. And since this picture has already been baked and my butterflies and my moths have already been baked, all I really need to do here is place them along into my picture and just glue them in where I like them placed best. Okay, so here is the result of using my Natasha Butterflies, whether in a picture format or I've done it in a jewelry kind of aspect, but there are any number of different ways in which you can use these Natasha Butterflies. So do so and have some fun. Otherwise, use this video for study and reference, and if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'm always wondering what you're thinking. Otherwise, I'm sending out my biggest hugs to each of you, and I hope you have a fantastic day.